Mr. Drifter here from Canny Drifters. Today I'm going to run through a piece of software I found, subscription based software that will allow me to keep track of all of my self-employed delivery driving. You might not know, but we travel a bit, and so when I'm stopped in any one place for any length of time, I tend to do side hustles and try and earn a bit extra cash as and when necessary. One of which for the last few years, since about 2018, I've actually been doing the odd delivery driving work for the likes of Just Eat, Uber Eats, etc. Now I found this software. I was looking for an app actually to record everything, to keep everything under control. It's sort of income and expenditure, money I'm being paid and money I'm paying out, just for tax purposes mainly. I couldn't find an app, so I found this next best thing really. So I'm going to run through that. I'm going to run through this application with you today, just to show you how it works. I think it's really useful for drivers. If your predominant work is, if your main work is like Just Eat driver, Uber Eats, or even just a driver who's delivering for, say, one restaurant or takeaway. So I'm going to run through this. It's not, the first thing to say as well, it's not just restricted to sort of delivery driving. If I bring up a list of, these are a list of the job descriptions you can select from. You can see I've selected delivery driver in the software. This is just a screenshot because it had personal details around it, so I just cropped this. But you can see there's a delivery rider. I'm assuming it's the same as a driver, but you're riding on like a pedal bike or a scooter or a motorbike. It'll cover taxi drivers as well, which I think is quite useful if you've got nothing. Don't know what the difference between taxi driver and private hire driver is. Somebody will probably jump on me for that, but personally I'm not sure. I only do sort of these two. So I have known to be done it in a car and on a scooter, motorbike. Also, looks like you can use this software for if you're a driving instructor, a courier if you're delivering parcels, etc. Maybe if you like working for Amazon in your spare time, delivering parcels in the UK, or a chauffeur as well. One thing to add, this software is specific to the UK. It links with HMRC, I believe, to actually submit your tax return, the Making Tax Digital thing, MTD. I haven't done that yet. That'll be a job for April, because I've only just started using that this year, so it'll be April onwards before I need to submit this year's tax return. So I'll not go into my account because that's got in personal information and address, bank details, etc., card details. But you can see here, this is a dashboard. When you come in, you've got income and expenses. You can see this tax year to date, I've got a profit of £1,419. If I want to add another income, I can just click on the plus button there. You put your description in. So these are default descriptions here, categories if you like, or you can add custom ones. I've added 3 custom ones at the top here. Uber Eats, Just Eat, who I've driven for, and then there's a local eats company called Live Eats in my area where I just log onto the app and do some driving for them. Basically I just juggle these 3 apps at any one time, and take jobs when I'm logged on. In the ideal scenarios, you can just log on when you want and log off when you don't. One thing it does mention down here is don't enter any employment or pension income here, because this software is basically just to record your driving activity income. So I'm assuming if you say a driving instructor, which is one of the other job descriptions there, you could put in here maybe your customer, the date, and how much money you were paid from the customer. You can also put a note in here as well. And what is really a useful feature is being able to upload a file or an image of your receipt. So for example, if you'll get a weekly statement from Uber or Just Eat, showing how much you've made. It's like a payment statement, how much you've made that week. It's really simple, just to click on this, do a search for the actual file, and then just save it, and it saves the actual receipt in this entry. So just as an example, I would enter, say, Just Eat, put a date in. I can't even remember when Just Eat pay now, but we'll say Just Eat say pay on a Tuesday. It's on the 16th of November, for example. They paid me £125. I'll put a note in here, and then I can add the payment for £125. You can see if it's a recurring income, which I would never use for what I was doing. I'm not sure what scenario you would use that, but it's useful for expenses. When we come on to expenses, I'll show you a recurring one, and then you would just save that, and you can see that that's gone in as Just Eat for £125 income. That's the last 30 days. You can actually drop that down, and you can look at your last week, you can look at the last 30 sets, sorry, the last 7 days, last 30 days, last tax year. You can look at the current tax year. So if I click on current tax year, you'll see all the income I've had. You can see I was only doing kind of July, August and September, and then I've just entered this one here, which is erroneous, which I'll delete later on. So you can see I've entered Just Eat, Uber Eats. I was putting Just Eat and Uber Eats in the notes as well, I'm not sure why. Just makes it look like it's doubled up. But if I click on that one there, you can see that I put Uber Eats in the notes. The reason I put a plus in front of this Uber Eats and the people I'm working for is that it means this list is sorted alphabetically. So I just thought I'd put in the three main companies I delivered for, so they appear in alphabetical order, and putting the plus at the front means they appear at the very top of the list as well, so everything else is underneath. I don't really use these ones, to be fair. In custom, I would just add another delivery company. So if I jumped on, say, a Deliveroo, for example, which doesn't deliver in my area at the moment, but if Deliveroo ever started, I could put Deliveroo in here. In fact, I have delivered for Deliveroo in a different area in the past, so, but not this year. And they would just be another one to select. The only reason I categorise them really is to see how much money I've made on each one, really, while I'm out and about. So that's a list of the income I've had, like weekly payments. Moving on to expenses, you add an expense in exactly the same way, but this time it's an expenditure instead of money coming in, it's money going out. You can add another receipt on. So if you were buying, say, a fuel, paying for petrol at a petrol station, and you were claiming the fuel, I'll come on to claiming fuel and the simplified version of it in a little while. But you would just attach the receipt here. You'd have to, if you were obviously claiming your fuel and you put 40 quid's worth of petrol in, and you wanted to claim that, then you would actually you would get the receipt from the garage and upload that, scan the receipt and upload it here. If I just move on to my expense list for the current tax year, you can see the actual app itself costs £9. It's costing me £9.79 a month. I'll go into the actual subscription pricing shortly. But it's costing me £9.79 a month, and this is my petrol claims. I've only entered 3, and in September I haven't done August and July yet, which I need to do. I've kind of got income in. I've got all my income in properly, but I haven't got expenses in fully yet. But you can see this little circle with the arrow on the end here, that shows that it's a recurring entry. You remember before on the income when I said I wouldn't know when you would use a recurring income, certainly not on what I'm doing anyway, but certainly I've got a recurring expense here, which is the software cost, because obviously you can offset the cost of this driver's tax app against your tax return to sort of show that you're paying £9.79 a month. It's as a valid expenditure against your income, and that will reduce the actual profit you make, and reduce your tax liability accordingly. And by the way, I'm talking about tax and everything. I'm no like sort of financial advisor, not qualified or anything like that. So just a quick disclaimer here that if don't take it for granted. What I'm talking about. If I'm just showing you the software here, I know a little bit about it, but don't take anything for granted. If you want some professional advice, I certainly recommend you seek professional advice, whether that be through an accountant or whatever. This driver's tax app has got a really good section which I'll come on to later about help and knowledge base and support and everything. But anyway, this would reduce your tax liability, getting back onto the point I was talking about. The way I've put an entry in here for mileage allowance is I'm doing the simplified version, so each day or week, and it's up to you really, just keep your records. I'm just claiming the mileage that I've driven. So here on the 8th of the 9th, I'm saying I've done 42 miles, so I'd have an entry in here for each day. You probably bundle this up into a week and just put it in weekly and have like your mileage for the week. And the way it works roughly, and again you'll need to seek advice on this, but you can use HMRC allow you to use a simplified version of mileage allowance, and basically you get 45p a mile for the first, well, depending on the size of the engine, but typically you'll get, for example, 45p a mile for the first 10,000 mile that you drive. After that it gets reduced, and this software, I'm assuming, calculates it after the 10,000 if you actually go over 10,000 a year. Because I've put 42 mile in there, so it'll calculate that times your 45p. So that's where you get the actual mileage figure here once it's done that. The other way of doing it, if you claim it this way through the simplified, you get 45p per mile, but you can't then claim obviously your fuel on top of that. If you don't do it the simplified way, the way you do it then is you claim each time you put petrol in your vehicle. So if you put 40 quid in, then you would put an entry in here for £40 instead of the number of miles you've driven. Then you don't need to worry about how much you've recorded. If you're not doing it the simplified way as well, you can actually claim, as long as your car or vehicle is being used solely for your business, you can actually claim things like repairs and stuff like that. Other things, again, I would highly recommend seeking professional, well, not necessarily professional, but go onto the sort of HMR website. They've even got a handy calculator that if you put in the estimated miles that you think you're going to do for the year, or even base it on your previous year, it'll tell you which way you'll be better off. Most people, I think a lot of people, certainly myself, better off doing it this way, because for one, I wasn't doing the driving for whole year. I was just doing like 2 or 3 months over the summer, fair weather drive, if you like. So when I used the calculator, it said the simplified version was by far the best. I'll come on to a little bit more of that in a minute when I get down to the bottom here, because there is some useful information on this site. One other thing I'd sort of add at this point as well is there is really good information on this site, and I'm not even 100% sure that you need to actually pay for a subscription to access it. It would be interesting to see if you can get to this information down here without a subscription. I've got a feeling you will be able to. I don't think it's behind a paywall, just the actual use of the software is behind the paywall. So when I come down to this shortly, I'll show you how good it actually is. It's probably a one-stop shop for anybody who's in the driving gig game. So that's your expenses and income covered. Go back to your dashboard here at any time to get rid of the transactions, and this just shows you an overall. What you can do here as well, you can see I've now had £125 income for the month of November. I can actually click to add a target, and I can put a monthly target in for what I want to earn, and it'll monitor it. It's just so you can set a target for yourself to see how, it might it might adjust how often, how regularly you log on to the platforms to actually do more driving. Or if you're halfway through the month and you're way behind on your target, you're not halfway to reach your target for the month, you might sort of jump on the platforms and get your backside in gear and get out there and do some driving. Alternatively, if you're ahead of target and you only after a certain amount a month, then you know that you can actually cut back a little bit and not have to go out every day driving. It's just a handy little feature to have. Reporting as well, I'll run through that and I'll just go through what you do see. Tax liability, obviously mine's zero because I'm only on about 1,500 quid's worth of income, 1,600 quid by the looks of it there. Well, 1,500 until I put the 125 quid in just before there. So obviously I've got no tax liability there because currently I think the tax allowance is about 12,000 a year before you start paying any income tax. The first 12,000 is tax free. But you can see in July I made £594, and by the end of August that was 913. This is cumulative, so it doesn't actually show you how much you made each month. That's further down here, so you can see £594 I made in July. Income for August was 319, income for September was 609, and then this 125 here I actually stopped driving at the end, well, during September. So I'll have no more. I'm just doing those 3 months this year. Like I say, it was just one of a number of different things I do. Bear in mind, it is one of a number of things I do. I probably won't continue to use this software just for driving. I think I would if I was only driving and that was all I was doing for the year, or even for a few months of the year, and it was the only source of income I had, I would probably continue using the software because I do find it really useful. But because the driving aspect is only sort of 2 or 3 months a year and it's only sort of one out of about at least half a dozen different income sources I'm currently toying about with at the moment, it's just like a sort of minimum part of all the sort of hustles I'm doing, all the money making schemes I'm doing. So I probably won't keep using it, so you'll have to watch the channel down the line the next few weeks to months, and I'm going to go through what I will be using and other ideas where you can record multiple sources of income and then bundle them all together to do my tax return at the end of the year. Because obviously if I had one app for every single type of source, then it's just going to become cumbersome. Anyway, if you're predominantly just driving, I would highly recommend this. But you can see that there, so far this year up to here, I made sort of 1,000, well, not made, but income has been £1,522. You can see down here by month, and then the coloured bars, and that's why I've categorised these as Uber Eats and Just Eat. Haven't entered my Blythe Eats income on here yet, so I need to do that as well. So you can see here in July I made £204 income on Uber Eats and £390 on Just Eat. In August I didn't do any Uber Eats, I just done Just Eat. And then September I made more on Uber Eats, £493 out of the £609 total, and 116. One thing I think that's missing from here is I was doing the separation to see how much I made on each one. Now this isn't telling me, for example, for the current tax year, how much I've made on Just Eat and how much I've made on Uber. I kind of have to visually look at this and say, right, okay, there's more of a black colour on here, so I've made more on Just Eat than Uber Eats, but without sitting adding it all up I can't really see at a glance how much. I'd prefer to see something changed on that so you can actually see that in more detail. It would just be useful to see somewhere on this screen on the reporting screen. The other thing to mention here as well, which you normally do get on other software, is being able to export the data. I can't see anywhere to export it. All this is like a screen shot, like a screen display of your reports, and based on this is the reporting section. It's quite primitive in that respect. Moving on to the next graph, which is the expenses total. You can see my expenses was £84 in September. That's just some of the mileage I've put in. I've got to put all the other mileage in because I haven't got much in the way of expense. And then you can see it goes up about like 9 or 10 quid each month thereafter, and that's just the £9 subscription fees for this software. So again, stop driving in October, November, so there wouldn't be any for that, but I do need to put in expenses for August and July when I actually started getting the income. And then you can see expense categories per year. Now this is quite handy because for obviously the current year I can see that I've paid I paid £29 in subscription fees. That's 3 lots of £9 odd. For this actual software out of a total of 103, and then the other £74, which you can see here, is the mileage allowance, which is basically the mileage I've driven. So yeah, it's called a reporting section, but it's more like it's only got 4 graphs on it, so it's more like a dashboard really. But if you go back to the dashboard is just total of everything. And then when you click on that, you just go into the reporting section anyway, so you just get a more detailed view of the dashboard. So I wouldn't really call it reporting as such, but I do think it still gives you the majority of the information that you need. The only thing I would personally like to see is my totals, even if I was just under here. You know, just eat total there, an Uber Eats total here, if I had Blythe Eats on here, another total there. I can see that being, I don't know how that would work if these were like, sort of if you were a driving instructor and these were your customers. You probably have too many customers across here. With regards to taxi drivers, I don't know what they would want to break the income down by. Possibly nothing, you know, it would just be fares. Everything, all the taxi drivers' income would be fares, unless they actually did drive for multiple taxi firms, bit like, I don't know even if that happens. I'm not familiar with that industry at all. I'm just doing this from a sort of food delivery point of view. But like I say, it's good enough. With regards to tax return then, so once you've recorded everything for the end of the year, I'm not going to proceed through this because it does start bringing up personal information. But it's telling me there the earliest I can submit this return to HMRC is the 6th of April. When you do proceed though, what is good, it asks you for your like UTR, your national insurance number, and then you can put in other employment income and pensions and allowances and everything, so you can actually put in all the other information as well as your driving income from this app, and it'll actually submit a tax return for you, which I find really useful. But again, if it's not your main source of income, then you're going to have to decide whether you use this to submit your tax return or use something else. If this only makes up, say, 1/10 of my different things I'm doing, then I'm probably not going to use this, because I would need to collate the other 9/10 together and enter that information into here. I want something that's going to do everything, where I just put in the sort of put in these numbers here into as 1/10 of the information going into another input to get my tax return. It depends on your circumstances. Next section, that's the software really in a nutshell. It's pretty simple, straightforward, but very, very functional for this kind of industry, for like all your like your food delivery driving in the UK. And if there's any sort of taxi drivers or chauffeurs or courier workers who want to have a go at this, or currently using it, drop some notes in the comments just to see how you're getting on with it, because obviously it's something I can't advise on. I've used it for Just Eat, Uber Eats, etc. but I can't give any feedback on any other industry that is in this list of job descriptions here. It would be really good to get views of driving instructors and taxi drivers, especially because I think they're the two biggest others that, along with the delivery drivers on this list. Be good to know whether it's working and suitable. The next is all just like information, but still really good information. I'll look at the introduction. So it gives you a lot of information here. If you read through all this, really good information that you might not know about. If you click on the pricing page for the subscriptions, I'll run through that. There's basically 3 different levels. There's basic for $5.79 a month, there's pro for $9.79 a month, which is what I'm currently paying for. There's premium for $19.79 a month, which is like double that one. Now the reason I went for pro instead of basic, I always try and go for the basic, but I wanted the performance reports. Now I'm assuming that is the breakdown of the reporting in this section here. I might even be wrong on that, but I can only assume it's that because it's only reporting I can see in the system anyway. Whether they think that's worth an extra £4 a month, I don't know. If you just want to enter your income and expenses and produce your tax return, the $5.79 should be adequate. You need to look at this and make a judgment yourself. One of the options I don't think is value for money at the moment is the $19.79. Telephone support and tax investigation cover, which it even says here is coming soon, so you're not actually getting that at the moment, so why pay double if you're not getting it at the moment? The only thing you're benefiting from between this package, the pro and the premium at the moment, by the looks of it, is telephone support. It's your call whether you think telephone support's worth an extra tenner a month. Personally, I don't. I'd be happy enough with the email support, which you do get in the pro, but you don't get in the basic. The basic is basic. It's in the name, really. Again, it's up to you whether you want to get away with that. One other aspect you can look at is the yearly. You save 15% if you pay for the year. I just took out the monthly because I'm probably just planning on doing my tax return for this year that I've used it and then cancelling, and like I say, going on to something else that I need for all other streams of income. But if you do go yearly, you get the pro version for £100 a year. You can pay £60 and get the basic for a whole year, and again the premium would be £200. So looking at the numbers, currently I was paying I'm currently paying $9.79 a month. So that's £117.48 a year. And again, so instead of paying £117.48 over a period of 12 months, if you can afford it, if you're going to be driving for the year and it's your main stream of income, probably would recommend going to pay the £100, because then if you can afford it, then you're saving £17.48 for the year. It's not a great deal. But if you look at it from the point of view of if you're paying £100 for a year, divide that by 12, then you're only paying £8.33 a month instead of £9.79. So it's only £1.46 difference, but it's all money back in your pocket, especially if you're going to commit yourself for the year. But obviously that is the drawback, you are committing yourself for the year. But I suspect once you start using something like this, it's worth doing it for at least an annual period, because your tax return's annual, so there's no point chopping and changing through there. If you do want to change from this to another app, do it at the end of the tax year. Run your reports off this, submit your tax return, and then cancel your subscription. You do qualify for full refund as well within the first 30 days if you're not happy with anything. Continuing down the menu section, news and blog. this opens up another window, but there's like a lot of information in here. You can see when it's posted. The only thing I don't like about this screen is I'm assuming this one at the top here is the latest entry, because you can see here recent posts. What I'd like to see on here is a date. It doesn't have to have a time, but it would be useful to know when this was written. Just this view here, because you don't know how old some of this stuff is, especially when you get further down here. Would just be useful to I won't go into any of this information in detail, because I don't know if it's copyrighted or anything, and I don't really want to give away the companies. It's not fair on the company giving away all the information that they're providing. Like I say as well, it might be free, but it's worth probably just logging into this website and having a look to see if that information is free. But this is just a news section where they provide you with the latest news. Don't know how up to date this is. I never qualified for SICE anyway, because I wasn't registered as self-employed in time to get anything there. And then the knowledge base, I find the knowledge base particularly useful. Just it's only this one screen, but just have a quick look at all the information here. You've got all this HMRC information. You've got getting started with the actual driver's tax app system, telling you how to do things, telling you how to enter income, telling you how to enter an expense, which I've went through briefly. Best practices, really good information. Will you still need an accountant? Really good information. You can save the app to your mobile device, so you can actually use this system when you're out and about on your phone. So if you've just put, like, say 40-50 quid's worth of petrol in your car, you can just record it there and then scan the receipt and load it in. If you're like quiet and not on a job, you can just do it all there and then. It really does help keeping up to date with things, rather than leaving it like I've done and have to enter it all, not at the last minute, although that can happen, I'm sure. But even after the event, it's much easier to keep on top of things as and when you're doing it, because you just know it's in there and it's all up to date. You can also have a quick look at your figures and stuff, and it's up to date and there's nothing missing. And it's accurate information. Here's all your bookkeeping here as well. There's your mileage allowance against actual costs there, which I was talking about before. That'll give you good information about whether you should be using the simplified scheme or the other. And I think there's something on the HMRC's website as well. I definitely know they've got a calculator. I thought there was something down in here as well. But it's just all this information about, like, how do I register as self-employed, all that. It's all information you can find on HMRC's website, but this company, the driver's tax app, they've just brought it all together and really, like, simple screen here. And then you've got this really good section here as well about your sort of dates and deadlines for when you should be, when you need to register self-employed, when you need to submit your tax return, and all about the latest Making Tax Digital. When does it start? What's going to happen? Really, really good. And then there's a contact us section, where you can submit information or any problems you've got. If you need any help, that's where you get that. So in a nutshell, really do, and like I say, I've been using this application now for about 3-4 months while I was driving. I'm still subscribed to it so I can do my tax return. Obviously it's still going to cost me $9.79 a month, but I took that into consideration when I started doing it. I've earned 15, you can see from the dashboard, I'd earned 1,500 quid. Well, about 1,400 quid profit after expenses, and that'll come down. It's probably more like 1,000 by the time I put all my mileage and the expenses. But I did take into consideration the subscriptions for a year anyway. It's a small expense for being able to then just click a button at the end of the year and submit your tax return. I think that's probably rounded off this application. Actually, if there's any questions or anything, leave them in the one thing I forgot there is discounts and offers. That's one of the subscription differences. It's not something I tend to look at or take advantage of because I don't particularly think there's much value in them. You can have a look at them. There's a few on there. I think that was one of the things you get with the subscription levels. It might be in mine, I'm not sure, I've never really looked. Yeah, that's out there, discounts and benefits. So you don't get that if you're on this basic, but I don't know if you're missing out on much. I'd probably hazard a guess and say no. I might be being a bit disrespectful to some of the companies on that discount offers list, but it's not something I even look at, because when I see things like I know there's taxi stuff there which I wouldn't be interested in anyway. New tyres, a couple of taxi ones, and this is meant to be cheaper petrol prices. Never looked into that. Possibly the only one I'd even look at, but I'm never really that mad keen on this kind of stuff, because I always find if you shop around you can find stuff cheaper even when these have got discounts or offers on. Always found that to be the case. But yeah, mileage might vary, excuse the pun. But again, that doesn't you don't get these discounts and offers included in the basic subscription. You need to go on the pro or higher for that. But yeah, if you do use this, let me know. I find it really useful. If you got any questions, if you want to know anything from myself before you start using it, drop a comment. Otherwise, contact the company, take out a 30 days free trial. Make sure I use it in that first 30 days though, because if you don't want to commit yourself to the year, you're just wasting money. But yeah, can't go wrong from what I've seen so far. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.